Welcome to the Cantina Chatter podcast. Hello and welcome to the Cantina Chatter podcast. My name is Victoria and I will be your host on this galactic adventure through Star Wars, toys and collectibles, pop culture, and randomness from the 80s and 90s. So Dave, guess what?
What's up?
Ahsoka lives.
Oh man.
We knew this was coming. This was coming. And wow, pretty epic, isn't it?
Yeah, we heard rumors and we weren't sure if they were true or not. They hadn't been confirmed, but I want to say it felt natural to me. It didn't seem weird seeing an animated character that you're so used to in live action. It just felt natural.
It's so unique. We were watching a couple episodes back. Bo-Katan said to Mando, go find Ahsoka Tano. My husband was like, he doesn't follow. I've said this before. He doesn't follow Star Wars too much. He's like, what's an Ahsoka Tano? and I was just kind of had to explain a little bit, but it's a really special thing. I was telling him, this character has existed in animated form for the last 12 years. And now she's made her way over to live action. So that's just a really special thing. And I think that speaks a lot about not only how much fans love the character, but it just reflects Dave Filoni's involvement in this series.
Yeah, I guess like to the casual fan, it sounds like that could be some sort of weapon or something, right? Ahsoka Tano. But yeah, I mean, it's great. Like we say every time we talk about this, this is something for the hardcore fan that's reading the books and watching the cartoons. But yeah, I mean, it definitely is in a way. I watch with my wife too, and she's not in it as much as we are and stuff. But it's easy enough for them to follow, and she's picking it up.
Yeah, and it's such a natural fit too, because it's like Bo-Katan or any of the Darksaber. Like these are things that, they are there. They are very rewarding for longtime Star Wars viewers to appreciate. They're those little things that they'll recognize. But if you're just somebody watching Mando for the first time, doesn't know about those things, I mean, they fit very naturally. So it works either way.
Yeah, and if you're watching it by yourself and you have no idea about Star Wars, you see like a Darksaber at the end of last season. And I mean, it's something that's important, and it gets name dropped here in the the third episode of this season. And you can kind of go back and put it together. So I mean, all the pieces are there. I'm not sure I agree with some of the things that I'm hearing where people say it's getting a little too fan servicey, and you really got to know a lot of the books and a lot of the comics and television series to understand what's going on. I think people get it. Yeah. It's easy enough to do a Google search if it's really something you need to know about at that moment.
Yeah, true. And I think it's a good, if this is your first introduction to the characters or whatever, this is a good way for you to explore those characters a little more in depth if you want to get to know them better and see their histories. So I think there's really I don't see any downside to having these characters on here, because you're catering to people who know them, and then you're giving access to people who don't know them, giving them that opportunity. So I just think it's great all the way around.
Yeah, it's a smart business move, I think, too, on Disney's part, that being that they have Rebels and Clone Wars and all the films on Disney Plus. And if you want to know more about the character, when Mandalorian ends its run this season, you're not going to cancel your subscription. Maybe you're going to stick around and watch all 7 seasons of the Clone Wars.
Exactly. Then you're going to follow up with the Rebels, and then you're going to rewatch Mando again. And it's all great content. I mean, it's unreal that we live in this era where a show like this exists. It really is.
Yeah.
I was really, really pleased with the whole season, really. But I mean, this last episode is kind of the one that everybody was on edge for, and I just think everything about it was beautifully done. I mean, the cinematography
Oh
and,
yes.
it was gorgeous. Like, just, it didn't feel like just any episode of Mando was special, and it looked the part too.
Yeah, I feel like you could frame any still shot from this episode and hang it in your office or something. It looked amazing. The lighting, the framing, it was wonderful looking in it. And the lighting was a lot like Clone Wars, felt to me, especially the 7th season.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was beautiful to look at, to watch.
Totally. Yeah, and there were a lot of heartful moments, I would say, in this episode as well. It's you're seeing Ahsoka, but I think that even if you took Ahsoka out of the picture, I think you still have a pretty great episode in the making. I mean, just like this planet, this unique thing where just the way that you had the prisoners that were like strung up, and if they move, they get shocked, and it's just. It was very classic Star Wars, but it was also fresh, and then you inject some of the lore of Star Wars into it, and you really flesh out the child's like backstory a little bit. And I mean, this was just a huge episode.
I really liked the feel of it. I'm not super into like samurai movies, but I could see that it had like a Asian flair to it, and really those samurai movies were adapted into Western movies, which is what Mandalorian is kind of sticking its feet into, being like a space Western. So it felt different. Like I said, I haven't watched a lot of those movies. Maybe the closest thing that I have seen, it sort of felt like Kill Bill Volume 1. The end fight at the end, which I know is paying homage to movies that I haven't seen. But yeah, I really liked it, and it was slow, and I like that. I feel like in today's media, you can get sucked up into fast edits, fast pacing, almost like a music video type edit, and it's nice to just let it breathe and let there be no dialogue. Let you watch the actors acting and interactions with a puppet, and it just felt nice.
Totally. I mean, and they say that like 75% of communication is nonverbal, and I appreciate it. Like you're saying, when they give the characters moments to breathe and just kind of be expressive through their physicality, and they really went above and beyond that with this particular episode.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. One thing I could say, it's Ahsoka stole the show in this episode. And it kind of was Ahsoka's episode, but it does a lot, I think, for the character of Mandalorian, to just almost be put back and just kind of, he's coming across all these people like he's never met before in the galaxy, with Cobb Vanth and Bo-Katan and now Ahsoka. And I think it's really putting some ideas in his head that's challenging in his mind where he thinks he stands in the galaxy.
Yeah, no, that's totally true. I mean, when we first get introduced to him way back in season 1 at the very beginning, he's a bounty hunter. I mean, that's all he's really doing. Yeah, he's a Mando, and he's part of the covert that they have there on Navarro, but it's basically he's just a bounty hunter, and he's just trying to make money to help the other Mandos and stuff. But you're right, he's had several adventures up to this point with the child. He's developed that attachment. He's gotten to know these characters on both sides. The Empire, those are the Rebel Alliance, or New Republic rather. And then, these other characters, the Jedi, who, he probably would have just seen as an enemy, like, if you take Baby Yoda out of the mix. So, he's really gone on quite an adventure. And I think some people, kind of say, well, there hasn't been any character development or growth. But I mean, there really has been, even if it's not.
I agree with you, and I disagree with that statement that I'm hearing a lot of. Like you said, back in the first season, in the first few episodes, it seems like he thinks he has everything figured out, and he kind of walks this world where he's like viewing the galaxy from taking a step back, almost like he's not a part of it, and then even episodes like the episode 5, the Gunslinger, which was probably consensus least favorite episode for a lot of people. There's things in there where he has to learn to use what he's learned to communicate with the Tusken Raiders, and kind of dive into this world. He's definitely growing, ideas that are being put in his head by these weird characters that he's meeting is challenging, the view of his religion and stuff. And, even at where we end off in season 1, he's just on another quest, and I'm going to go meet these sorcerers. I'm going to drop this kid off, and then I'm on to the next thing. And when he runs into Ahsoka, it's the first time that she kind of says that he's a father now, which was what the armor said at the end of season 1. And I think he's growing, and thinking about his place and who he means to other people, or what he means to other people. And I think there is growth there.
That absolutely represents growth, just pondering your picture and pondering your place in the bigger picture of things. And that's where he's at this point. And, with the child as well. I mean, that was almost like kind of like gut wrenching, like seeing him like thinking that he was going to separate from the child and give him up.
I thought this episode had a lot of tension in it, and I've seen it twice now. And I really was not able to feel that what you're explaining, because I thought that Moff Gideon was going to, jump out of somewhere and grab the child at any moment. And I kind of missed that. There's a touching goodbye there at the end. The way the edit is, it makes you feel like a lot of time has passed. And, Ahsoka actually comes to him where he had left it, that he was going to bring the child back to her. And so anyway, the tension really got me. And I didn't get that until the second viewing, and when I could calm down and I knew nothing bad was going to happen to Grogu, which is another.
Yeah, that's something we need to talk about. That was interesting. I really love that moment though. Like Ahsoka was like speaking with him like telepathically, like reading his, just like we've seen other characters do, and just kind of absorb that information through him. It was really cute to see. But yeah, that name is interesting, and I want to hear your thoughts about it before I give mine.
I'm indifferent, I think. And I've seen people say that they love it, the way that it is odd, like a Yoda or a Yaddle, and then there are people that it doesn't set well with. Which are you one of those people that don't? It's weird, right? But I think I'm indifferent at the moment.
Yeah, I think I am mostly indifferent as well. I'm kind of leaning towards not liking it quite as much, just because it is kind of. I mean, Star Wars is all about weird. It's all about, weird names and weird characters and, all the stuff that we love about it is weird, right?
Yeah.
So, I mean, the name is fitting in that sense, but I guess, I don't know. I was kind of hoping for something a little more cutesy, maybe, or something.
I'll tell you, when that stuff becomes real for me, being the toy collectors that we are, is when I see it on a packaging. And that was one of my first thoughts, is when are we going to see a Din Djarin on a package, and when are we going to see Rey Skywalker, and now when are we going to see Grogu on a card somewhere?
Yeah, because they just announced the vintage collection version of the child, and are they going to change it? Is it too late to change it? So it's they've never even said the child like in the show. It's I mean, they referred to him as a child. They referred to him as a baby, as a youngling, as a foundling, but they've never said like kid. The child. Yeah, hey kid, exactly.
Which that's a little weird that you're assuming there's maybe been a year now they've been on the road, and he's never thought to, maybe this thing has a name, just hey kid. Yeah.
No, it's an interesting name. I think we'll agree on that. It's interesting, and it's his name. I mean, it's going to be like anything else in time, right? It's going to be like Darth Vader or Rey Skywalker. We'll just kind of learn to,
even Obi-Wan was weird to me when I was a kid. Yeah. It was always Ben Kenobi, and I'm like, that is weird, Obi-Wan. It's just that one name. that took a lot for me to get over.
This was like before I had like a toy of Obi-Wan. I thought it was Obi-Wan, like the number one. I was like, Obi-Wan. I was like, oh, are there other ones?
Obi-2, Obi-3.
Exactly. Yeah, but no, just a jam-packed episode with a lot to absorb, and the duel I thought was really well choreographed and really well done, and just the way that Ahsoka like ignites her lightsabers. It looked the same way she did in Rebels, which I thought was badass.
It did, and like I said about the lighting. And I think white might be my new favorite lightsaber blade color now.
I'm going to agree with you. And part of that is because when I was a kid, I must have been about 2 or 3. We had like some sort of a knockoff like lightsaber kind of thing. And at the time, I didn't really know Star Wars. I was like really little. But I distinctly remember this light up like knockoff lightsaber thing with a white blade.
Was it like the light sword or something you would get at like a dollar store? I think I had one of those.
It could have very well been something like that. We're talking like, late 1980s. So I don't know exactly what it was, but it was white. And you just see like the white sabers. They were just gorgeous. I just thought they just looked perfect.
Yeah, that's the. It's all light white, and it really fills up the shot, which I think was a great call to put it on that planet that's very dark and foggy
Yeah,
and stuff.
good point. Yeah, and the sounds were kind of unique too from previous sabers.
Yeah, and I love the way we were introduced to her. There was a lot of speculation going on. Will we see her at the end of this episode? Will we see the back of her head? Will there be, and no, just right away, she's fighting. She's in the middle of a battle. We see her face straight on. And I know I turned and said to my wife, I'm like, well, that's how they're going to do it. There she is. She's right here. It was great.
Yeah, she was kind of getting her Batman on with the, the stealth attacks and stuff. And yeah, that was really cool. I mean, she seemed she seemed scary. I've never thought of Ahsoka as scary, but like in those opening moments of the show, she was kind of scary.
She's really different than when we were first introduced to her as the little kid who everyone thought was annoying, and she has.
I remember.
She's completely different now. She's in charge. She's somber, serious. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, even before like this episode, I would have put her like in my top 3 like favorite Star Wars characters. Just the growth that she's undergone in the last 12 years. Like from like you're saying, like just a little whiny kid, not too unlike Anakin. And then everything that happened during Clone Wars with kind of getting being put on trial and losing her faith in the only family she ever knew, right? And then kind of going on her own adventure and then coming back for one more final adventure with the Republic before as we saw in season 7 this year, and then everything in Rebels. I mean, she's just had such a history that's really we've never seen any character in Star Wars undergo this sort of transformation, undergo these kinds of trials, and show up all these years later. So it's amazing.
Yeah, she's really, I think for a lot of fans, she's a real champion. We've seen other heroes have their ups and downs. Like one of people's favorite characters is Anakin, but it's quite obvious the tragedy that happened there, the rise and fall. And even Luke, it's controversial what happened in The Last Jedi. Things change over the decades or whatever. But so far, she's a champion of good. She doesn't get bogged down in the dogma of the Jedi. She can see above it, past it. Yeah. And she's always seems like she has good advice and doing the right thing. So, yeah, I can see why people love her and why she's so beloved. And I know I do too. I really like her.
Yeah, I know. She is good at heart. She's pure. She's never like, I mean, some of the things she did in this episode I felt were a little extreme from what we've seen in the past. I mean, obviously time has passed since we saw her in Rebels. Yeah. And I mean, she's still like obviously fighting the good fight because she, her end game here is noble. She's trying to liberate the city. She's trying to find Thrawn. So, she's still on a mission to do good, but like you're saying, she has gone through a lot of things that have made her very relatable. I mean, who hasn't lost faith in their family? Who hasn't lost faith in institutions that they once believed in? Who hasn't been betrayed by like a good close friend? So I mean, it's just it just makes her a really like relatable character, and I think that's one of the reasons that a lot of people have latched onto her.
Yeah, she's completely almost the opposite of like a Luke Skywalker who was just good to the core, and it was perceived, I feel like at the time that he was never tempted by anything, that he always knew exactly what he stood for and what good he stood for, and Ahsoka, you can see the doubts and stuff, and it's just like us. I mean, none of us are sure of what we're doing every single day or every decision that we make, and you think you're trying to do the right thing like Ahsoka is, and maybe you make mistakes. She made a lot of mistakes in the Clone Wars and persevered. So yeah, she's there's a lot there to inspire you.
A lot of growth, and it's awesome. And of course, we'd be remiss if we didn't talk about the portrayal of Ahsoka, because this is different. This is like we said, I mean, obviously it has to be different, right? We've never seen her in live action. And we have someone different playing her that's never been part of that role before.
Yeah, I think she did a good job, Rosario Dawson. Maybe if Katie Sackhoff hadn't been asked to come back as Bo-Katan, it wouldn't even be an issue. But I would just like to know how that played out. How she got cast over, the Clone Wars actress. But yeah, I think she did a good job, and it looked like her. It did. I enjoyed the outfit. I liked seeing the evolution of the outfit. But yeah, what were your thoughts?
No, that is interesting. I mean, you're right. Like I don't know what their reasonings are for some characters, like like you're saying Bo-Katan, but I don't know if it boils down to physicality, if it boils down to experience, or I mean, obviously these are decisions that are made, behind closed doors, and they never explain their the cast decisions and stuff. So, I mean, all we can really do is speculate. But anybody that follows like Ashley Eckstein on social media knows that she wasn't, happy. She seems to have kind of, at least she's being supportive now, which I guess is really the only thing you can do, right? You still want to be. She's always been like a force of positivity in the Star Wars community, and I guess that's really the only thing you can do is be supportive and just hope for the wish others the best. And it's nice to see that, but it does make you wonder a little bit, like why.
Yeah, I don't think we've seen the last of her. There'll probably be other animated Ahsoka projects she'll be back.
Oh yeah,
but yeah, like I said, if they had cast Bo-Katan differently, it wouldn't even be an issue. That's the only reason that we're talking about
exactly.
it. And that's great. If you want to talk about that, I thought she did an amazing job, and I like the continuity there with the character.
Yeah. We're gonna be jumping around in this conversation, so let's go to that episode, because I thought that was a really excellent episode as well.
I think that might be my episode 3. The Heiress might be my favorite one so far. We just talked about the Ahsoka one, and I want to say that's my favorite, because I really do fall on the Jedi, the lore side more than the war side, as some people say. But there's just something about the action. It was such a short episode, the Heiress, and it felt like you watched an hour and a half movie in 30 minutes, and just it was great. And I just thought that Katie Sackhoff did such a good job being that character in real. That's got to be hard doing that,
It's very fitting though, because Katie Sackhoff looks just like Bo-Katan in the animation. So I mean, it was very it just works so naturally. I mean, it doesn't even seem like you don't even question. It's like, yeah, the casting totally makes sense. But no, that is a fantastic episode, and there were just so many great things about it. And the Jedi episode is obviously, that's everybody's talking about that one right now, but the Heiress was excellent, and that one was hugely praised across the board as well. This one was directed by Bryce Dallas Howard, who did the Sanctuary episode in season 1.
Yeah, and I think, like we just said, that probably is one of the lower ones. People didn't really like that one as much, but I think she knocked it out of the park with this one. The visuals were great. Seeing the Razor Crest landing coming into the atmosphere, it was comical. And there was a lot of exposition dump in this episode, very fast in like the bar scenes, but I'm okay with that. Like I said, it's a mini movie to me, and it's condensed in a lot of action movies. They do the same thing, and there's a montage that just drops the plot of the film, and I'm fine with that.
Yeah, no, I think she did a good job of balancing, all the different emotional aspects of Star Wars. You have the action, you have like the funny, humorous moments, you have, some of the more heartful moments. And I felt like this episode had all of that. So that was cool. And like you're saying, the visuals, like I keep going back to that one visual when we see that Imperial vehicle like taking off and you're seeing it from behind. It just looks so much like when you're like on the ground at an airport and you see like an airplane like taking off. Like that was just really cool.
The way it angled up, just like a big commercial jet did. It looked great.
Yeah, no, it was great. And I thought the aliens were really cool too. I mean, we've seen Mon Calamari. We've seen squid heads. What are they called?
I don't know.
The Quarren. The Quarren. I thought those were really cool. Like the way that they're like their mouths were moving, like Davy Jones style.
Yeah,
that was pretty cool.
I thought the acting in this episode was good too. I heard criticisms of it, but I really appreciate the, like you were saying, the nonverbal communication. I think Katie Sackhoff did a good job. Just head movements, facial expressions, and she really, to me, conveyed that she's been around the block. She knows what's going on. Din Djarin may think knows the way, but really she knows a lot more than she's letting on. And she really knows what's going on in the situation. I thought that came across in the acting, and I would praise the director or whatever if that's who you would credit with the acting in this episode, because I thought it was decent.
Totally. I mean, she could have really like gone all out on Mando with her backstory. Yeah, my sister was the leader of Mandalore, and she
Do
was
you know who
involved
you're
in a
talking to?
relationship with one of the most famous Jedi of all time. Yeah, there's just so much. Yeah, there's just so much there, and like I said, that's one of the cool things about it is if you want to explore the characters more, there's a lot of content out there. But no, this was really cool, and like we were talking about, character growth. This is more growth for Mando. I mean, he's getting to know that there are more Mandos out there that aren't like him, that have other ways of existing, and I think this kind of comes into play in the following episode where he's kind of like not really taking his mask off, but we see him kind of just like pulling it up a little bit more than we've seen him do.
Yeah, I think that's some of the growth that we were talking about. And getting back to you said about the different types of Mandalorians, I had forgotten about that in the context of this series. I believe, a year ago this time we were talking about like, why don't Mandalorians take their masks off? We've watched Clone Wars, we've watched Rebels, they take their helmets off all the time. And I kind of forgot about it. I just accepted, this is the way, this is what they do. And that was jarring even to me in the episode, seeing a character we've seen a million times take off her helmet in front of a Mandalorian and just seeing the shock and I was like, whoa, I forgot.
Yeah, no, it was really cool. And, just being introduced to new Mandos that we haven't seen before as well. And the whole sequence with the Imperial, I forgot the name of the specific type of vehicle, but the Imperial freighter or whatever you want to call it, it was just, the whole thing was really well done. Like just the action sequence of it all. And, the stormtroopers even seemed, I know that they're easy targets a lot of the time, but some of them kind of held their own, like especially, a little bit later in the sequence, and they were really like going all out with the gunfire.
Yeah, in the context of the show, Mandalorian, I think we've been conditioned that Mando Din Djarin is the best fighter that we see on screen. In the first episode of this second season, we see him quite easily best everyone in that boxing ring or whatever you want to call it. But it was funny to see him kind of left behind. He was like the fourth man behind, just kind of like, whoa, what's going on? He was, just kind of tagging along, and they were just kicking butt and handing everyone their business, and then it was kind of jarring too. Be like, oh wow, seeing 4 Mandalorians take down a whole squad of stormtroopers.
Yeah. And that goes to one of the things Bo-Katan said was like, Mandos are stronger together. And that whole sequence is great. And I really loved seeing Titus Welliver. He was the one Imperial captain on this vehicle, and
it was great. Yeah.
I really wish we would have gotten to see more of him, because he was just like, it was a small role, but he like played it to perfection.
Yeah, you just got from him again with the acting, you could tell he was the smartest one on the ship, and just what? Where did you lock them?
Yes, the reaction was priceless,
and just his voice, his delivery was good.
Yeah, it's one of the good things about this series is, I think for the most part, like, all the actors that have been incorporated have been really solid. And this was a fun episode too. And just like the, Frog Lady's back. I know we talked about her the last time. We get to meet her husband, and, Baby Yoda is still intrigued by the eggs, and he gets to actually see, oh, this is what I've been eating. They actually turn into little like living things. That's what I mean about like the heartful moments. Like, there's little like, more cutesy aspects of it that, kind of, really ground the episode and make it so well-rounded.
Yeah, I agree. I really like this episode. Like I said, it might be my favorite one so far. And even with the music, I guess we got a Bo-Katan theme from Ludwig Göransson there. That was one of my favorite parts. Just again, we've said it before, just how different this sounds from traditional saga Star Wars, and just hearing that synthesizer, that brum, 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 just I liked it a lot. Yeah,
me too. In the Jedi episode too, that was the music was also like top notch.
And that incorporated a lot of John Williams themes and stuff, like when she spoke Yoda's name, and we got some of Yoda's theme in there. And he does a really good job just balancing, hopping back and forth. Because I believe at the next episode that we have yet to talk about, what stood out to me at the end when Cara Dune was talking to the what do you want to call him, the one pilot, and it sounded more traditional Star Wars, and it's just amazing the range that he has, that Ludwig has, to just it can sound like traditional Star Wars, and then it can go right into like an 80s synthesizer sound, and it all blends and works well.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, let's talk about that episode. So this was what was it called? The
This was called The Siege.
the siege. That's right, the siege. Um, so this one was familiar territory. I felt like for the most part. I don't think it really, they didn't incorporate any Clone Wars or Rebels characters in this one, but it was very much par for the course. I felt like for Mando, but in a good way. Yeah, I just this one, Carl Weathers directed this one, and it just felt like he had a really good sense of what Star Wars action looks like, because it felt very Star Wars to me.
Yeah, and I think I follow him on social media, and you could tell his excitement came out in the week of its release on social media. It was fun to see the fans all happy and pumped about it, and him playing off of the fans and stuff. But yeah, it was more traditional Star Wars. It was just a fun romp and shoot 'em up, beat 'em up, a woohoo escape. But it did have a lot of drop into it, which added a lot to the story, to the backstory of the child, and to where the whole overall arc of the series is going. And again, it was quick, but it made up for it a lot, and it definitely wasn't a filler episode.
No.
Which I think I'm enjoying this season more, because it doesn't seem like the filler episodes that are actual filler, like maybe the previous season was.
That's true. And like I'm saying, familiar territory. It's back on Navarro. We have Cara Dune, we have Grief Karga, and these are characters that people seem to really like in the first season. So we have them back. We go on another adventure with them. Who knows if they'll show up again later in the season? But I really like the continuity there, and I like how we get to see what kind of changes they've made to the settlement there, because it's very different than the way we left it in the previous season.
Yeah, I really like seeing the way the culture has come back, the way Kara and Grief are real leaders on the planet now. And we get to see a school in Star Wars, and we get a lot of familiar drops with stuff we know from previous Star Wars, with the protocol droid teaching the class. And there's lots of warmth in it there, again, with the child, and there's humor and cutesy stuff. And I like that part a lot.
I guess that's what I have to look forward to one day, is being replaced by a protocol droid.
Yeah.
No, that was fun. And then the blue macaroons. I know it's become kind of a big thing on social media. People making their own macaroons and buying their macaroons. So
I liked how they looked like they were prepackaged. They had, like, something in our universe.
I know. Yeah, like a pack of Nabisco vanilla wafers or something. Just like in a little package of their own. It was fun. Yeah, this season has been pretty stellar. I feel like. I mean, season 1 I loved, but I'm just really loving all the world building that's been going on, and all the connections that are being made in season 2. It's been really solid. It's from one episode to the next. I mean, maybe the second episode with the spiders, I wasn't crazy about, but I mean, the first episode, 3, 4, and 5, have just been amazing, and I'm really excited to see where the season goes from here, because there's so many possibilities.
Yeah, I agree. The second season on a whole, I feel like the highs are higher and the lows aren't as low. And
exactly.
It's pumped, ratcheted up to the next level. And even, the side missions have a lot there for people that know a lot more about Star Wars than the casual fan.
Yeah.
But it continues on that pace that I feel like even the casual fan enjoys it a lot too.
Yeah, totally. Very well said. Well, Dave, do you have any other thoughts you'd like to share regarding these most recent episodes of The Mandalorian Season 2?
Oh, no, I don't think so. I think we talked a lot about them. I'm enjoying this new format where we just kind of chat about it. I don't got to write any notes or anything. And jumping around is a lot of fun. And I feel like we got a good energy going, just talking about what we're excited about. And there's a lot to be excited about in the second season.
There's a lot to be excited about. So one thing I do want to ask you before we part ways here is, where do you anticipate things going in the next episode?
Oh, yeah, that's really great. Let's talk about that. I don't know. I assume there's going to be more Jedi eventually. And I think we're really heading towards even more growth with Din Djarin. I feel like he's going to have to support the child in whatever choice he makes that Ahsoka set up. and whether that's being a father or raising a Mandalorian baby. And I wouldn't even be surprised. I thought maybe Ahsoka alluded to maybe he could be supportive in the ways of the Force as a father figure to the child. But I anticipate seeing some sort of Jedi, and I'm hoping it's not Luke. I think that wouldn't go over well with hardcore fans. And I'm hoping it's Ezra. And we've seen some Loth cats around in this series so far. Last season, a couple in this season. So, we forgot to mention about the name drop of the Thrawn at the last episode. And, those two characters are linked together. So hopefully I'd like to see that, because I'm rewatching Rebels again now for a second time straight through. And I'm enjoying Ezra a lot more and seeing growth that I missed some of the first time. So if we got to see more of him, or even a brand new Jedi, which I think would please a lot of people, I'd be down for that.
Yeah, no, totally. Like the Thrawn thing, like when I heard that, like my jaw just like, I gasped, and my husband just looked at me like, "What?" No, I think it's gonna. I think there's like kind of thinking about the side quest sort of things, if you want to call them that. Like I kind of foresee like Bo-Katan going head to head eventually with Moff Gideon, and then Ahsoka maybe in the next season going head to head with Thrawn. I think we'll see more of that, more of Ahsoka, and more of her story in the next season. But I kind of feel like maybe the rest of the stuff with Moff Gideon and stuff, we're going to get fleshed out a little bit more this season. But that's just a guess. That's just my speculation.
Yeah, I would like to see. I got real excited seeing Bo-Katan, and I was thinking, maybe the Mandalorian isn't going to be Din Djarin. Maybe the Mandalorian will be the Mandalorians, and maybe he hooks up with Bo-Katan. And I would really like to see that. Like you were saying, strength in numbers. How long can we follow this lone wolf and cub around? Yeah. And I would like to see that. And like you're saying, maybe if he can back up Bo-Katan, get Moff Gideon, and we go, and if we have to go after Thrawn or something. But I also kind of think that we're going to see the child maybe abducted. And I think this season we're building to a new group of heroes like we did in the last season. And I think he's going to have to assemble a crew or something and go and get the child back. I think we might be headed towards that. I'd like to see that.
I agree with that. I felt like even before the season began that had to be something that's going to come to pass. Like, Mando's done a great job of protecting him, but I kind of feel like that's only going to last so long, right? I mean, I just kind of feel like at some point, especially now that he's being tracked, Moff Gideon is tracking the Razor Crest. It's just a matter of time before he, finds a way to steal back the child, and I just really think that's going to happen.
Yeah, like I was saying earlier, that knowing that he's being tracked by Gideon, it builds a lot of tension for me. Like I say, it was distracting, and I don't want it to be like cartoonish, like the bad guy never gets the good guy, and we always know that the good guys are safe. And I'd like to see some like real consequences, even shocking consequences for things almost along the way of like The Walking Dead, where you knew the main characters were never safe. Not that I say I want anybody killed off or anything, but just keep that tension there so that we don't get accustomed to, oh, nope, they're going to be fine,
Yeah, that's something I kind of feel like has to be on the horizon. I mean, so far, we've been really lucky with our heroes, like making it out safely out of each episode. I really feel like there's going to be some emotional gut-wrenching punches that are going to be coming, and it could be these characters that we've known through other forms of media for a long time, or it could be some of the ones we've been introduced to over these past couple of seasons. And whoever it is, it's going to be rough. I know we all have our personal favorites, and there's people we don't want to see killed off, but I think there's going to be some pretty intense punches that are going to be coming for us a little bit later this season.
Yeah. I'm excited to see where it heads to.
Yeah, many possibilities. Well, Dave, it's been fun as always.
Oh yeah.
We'll be doing another one of these this coming month, next month, December.
Awesome. Yeah.
And I'm really looking forward to that, and really looking forward to the rest of Mandalorian season 2. Until then, where can our listeners go to find you online?
On Instagram under Jurassic Dave 93. I'm on Twitter, the same handle, Jurassic Dave 93. And I'm also on YouTube if you want to look me up. There's not a whole lot there, but I have a few videos. And send me a direct message, send me a tweet, whatever. I'll be happy to talk to anybody about Star Wars or anything at all. It'll be good times.
Very cool. Jurassic Dave 93, everybody, our contributor for TV and film here on Cantina Chatter Podcast. Dave, thanks again for joining in.
All right. Thank you so much, Victoria. It was always a blast.
And that's a wrap for this episode. Victoria's Cantina began on YouTube, and you can find plenty of toy content on the Victoria's Cantina YouTube channel. We are also on Instagram, showcasing toy photography at Victoria's Cantina, as well as Facebook at Victoria's Cantina, and on Twitter, ranting and raving about toys and other nonsense at Vic's Cantina. For fun and random toy clips, follow us on TikTok at Victoria's Cantina. Got a question or something you'd like to share with us? Drop us a line in the fax machine. You can email victoriascantina@yahoo.com. If you are so inclined and wish to drop a coin in the tip jar, we are on Patreon, where you can gain greater access to the channel while helping to keep the content rolling. For VC branded merchandise such as t-shirts, ball caps, mugs, and other fun stuff, visit us on Teespring and TeePublic. Links to all of these magical places can be found in the show notes. Do you got a minute or two? If you are listening on Apple Podcasts, please leave us a 5-star rating and drop a brief review explaining why you enjoy the show. As always, I'm Victoria, and no matter where you're listening out in the galaxy, I'd like to thank you for tuning in to the Cantina Chatter Podcast.